to the favorites presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. I'm your host, Brandon Kravitz, joined by the queen of the pod, Miss Kendra Middleton, and the prime minister of DGen Nation, Stuckey. Your faves trio is back to wrap up the week. NFL draft less than 20 days away. We're going to plant our flag on some of the top prospects in this year's draft. But oh my Lord, what a story that has taken over the NFL world that has nothing to do with the football field. Diana Rossini, formerly of ESPN, now with The Athletic, very credible reporter, at least she was, romantically involved, as it would appear, allegedly, with Mike Vrabel, the head coach of the New England Patriots. Photos have surfaced, and the commentary has been outright outrageous. Kendra, I have been so curious on so many different levels to get your thoughts on this story. First of all, because of the market where you spend most of your time, which is Boston, as a woman in media and sports broadcasting, and just because you generally have unique opinions, no matter the situation. But I have a lot of questions, but I just want to start with your general read on this as this story is developing.
I feel like I'm getting asked to make a statement in court right now. The first thing I would say is you said that she's no longer credible. I would say maybe she is the most credible source, to be honest. Like, how much more credible can you be?
Well, I guess that's not a bad point. You can go back to her log about anything involving the Patriots are interested in AJ Brown and all of that shit. Sure. Yeah, all of that. And say that it probably has even a higher layer of truth to it. I more so mean
I know what you mean.
Moving forward,
yes,
whatever sources she had around the league, those are about to dry up.
Yeah.
Who the hell is giving her information after this?
Well,
other than Mike.
You know, I'm going to say this. Men have two heads, and often they do not think with the right one. So I would not say that it is completely over. However, as far as the vibe up here, then I will address the other situation, the female aspect of it in a second. Pretty much all of the Patriots media has been silent, and I have been very openly critical of the Patriots, so I'm not worried about ever needing to be hired by them again, so I can keep it honest. Every single beat reporter, everybody involved with the Patriots has not said a word, which makes me believe one of two things, maybe three things. One, considering that a lot of these people's jobs is journalism, I feel like usually this is something that people would have to comment on, and I think that the Patriots are either bullying them not to, or they knew about the situation and just can't or wouldn't say anything. But I think the craziest thing about all of this is her statement that it's really normal for journalists to have relationships with coaches like this outside of events and facilities and those types of things. I haven't been in this industry as long as other people. I've been in this industry for 11 years, and never once in my life have I ever heard of or thought to consider that a journalist would meet a coach anywhere outside of maybe a coffee shop or a steak dinner. I'm sorry, you're not meeting someone at a romantic resort. And for that reason,
a bungalow for two, to be specific.
Correct. Yeah. And for that reason, I think, unfortunately, that situations like this and Joy Taylor, and you can lump, I'm sure, a few other people in there over the years, tend to set women back over time. And it just continues to feed the narrative that the masses of incel men on the internet have, that there is no possible way that you could ever have a job without sleeping with someone or without being hot. And it kind of just discredits a lot of the hard work and integrity of a lot of women in the industry. And unfortunately, I do think that this sets women back quite a bit. I think the Joy Taylor situation wasn't as massive, but it's just the influx of everything online right now about what she's been saying about her husband and her marriage and the jokes she's been making about partying in Miami and all of those things. And it really is, I can't think of a better word other than disgusting, how this is going to be moving forward for women in this industry for at least the next couple of years. And it hurts. And I said that online and got a lot of incel men in my comments, and I deleted my tweet, not because I didn't want to say it with my chest. I'm fully saying it with my chest right here. It's just I don't feel like dealing with the comments. So
there's very little nuance on Twitter. So that's the beauty of having a podcast, having a platform like this, is you can actually have discussion about these things.
And I don't mind like the, nuance of it all, but like to be honest, both of you are married. If you were photographed like this with your wife, there's no other way to take it or for it to be interpreted. And to be honest, if I was married to someone doing this, you would probably, I said this to Kravitz over text in a group chat. I was like, you would never find my husband's body in a million years. And even if for some reason you did find the evidence, I would smile in my mugshot.
Yeah, much of the same would happen at the Kravitz household. So we're going to keep it kosher over here. Stucky, what's your read on this situation?
Says the guy with all the mistresses.
Those are bracket mistresses. Those are not female mistresses.
Yeah, I don't think that like she shouldn't have to she shouldn't have to have the responsibility of, you know, holding the weight of all women journalists, but it'll certainly have a negative impact, as Kendra said. Um, and my first thought, look, cheating happens in marriages. I think what the statistics say, like 20 to 25% of marriages, there's infidelity. I came from a household where there was cheating, and it was painful. I can't imagine. My first thought always goes to the significant other, the kids. I don't think her kids are of age where
They're
like,
super young.
yeah, you would see stuff, but still, the internet is forever. So I always feel bad for in these like super viral public affairs, where like everyone just piles on the internet. You got to feel just terrible for especially like the husband or wife of the other person and the kids, and like it's got to be super embarrassing. You probably just can't even go on the internet. So
She's
I
been
would
tweeting
say
out her stories this morning.
that's where my
It is crazy. Like she hasn't slowed down at all.
that's where my first thought goes. But yeah, definitely not a good look for a journalist. But
Yeah.
it's that's life. People mess up.
I almost even wonder, like, does this, I mean, here's the thing. In these situations, seldomly is the woman ever keeping her job. It's usually the woman gets fired and the man keeps his job because the man's usually the one in a place of power. I don't think either of them are going to lose their job. However, do you think that this changes kind of the Kraft's opinion of Rabel? Because there has been rumors allegedly that this was going on in Tennessee as well, but just the fact that loose lips sink ships, and he very clearly was having loose lips in many places.
You're talking about Robert Kraft?
But like that's the thing is that like yes,
A
Kraft
man
can
of female integrity. Come
yes, we
on.
can joke about,
A man of morals.
Kraft's situation, but something very important to him is keeping the secrets of the team and of the organization. So regardless of if you want to make hand job jokes or not, it's still there are secrets within organizations like this that were clearly potentially leaked.
But
They were leaked.
so you would know this better than we would. Are there stories that have now been dug back up where she had way too much information about the Patriots?
1000%, yes.
Well,
And
if that's
there
the
are
case, then yeah, the answer would be yes, that that Robert Kraft would have an issue with that.
and there's been a lot of stuff that makes it seem like this has been going on for years.
I mean, they'll cross that bridge if Vrabel stops winning. That's basically
right.
That's
Yeah,
kind of
right.
what it comes down to.
It's a good point by Stucky. I mean, they were in the Super Bowl. I think if they had won 4 games last year, then you could use that as a fireable offense, but not having the success that he did, and not anything that outside of nothing from my view, who covers the league at a more wide scope. I haven't seen anything that's damning that would take down his job as far as information that's leaked out. It's different when you're in the area in the Northeast where you guys are looking at everything through a microscope. I think about the double standard as far as the way that we view these two jobs. You talk about the lens perhaps being put on Mike Vrabel. There's nothing that about what happened that derails how you feel about Mike Vrabel and his ability to coach the New England Patriots. For Diana Rossini, this directly impacts what she does for a living. So I think that there's 2 double standards that are going on right now. One of them is fair in the job aspect. It's not okay to cheat, but it doesn't impact Mike Vrabel as a coach that he is that he's performed some level of
Yeah, I
infidelity?
don't know because he's been preaching to Stephon Diggs and Travion Henderson recently, and it's like he hasn't done it with like a holier than thou approach, but he's been coming at especially like the Travion Henderson situation about wanting him to learn and become a better man. I don't think he's gonna lose the locker room because of this, but if I'm Travion and I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know?
But that's where the other double standard, the unfair double standard comes in, is that when guys do this, it's just sort of like
It's
we
like,
all shrug
hey,
our shoulders.
nux.
When and this is the disgusting part, and where I feel for you, Kendra, and women in general, especially those trying to make it and support themselves in the media. If you go to the comments on any post about this, it's slut shaming Diana Rossini. Nobody says a word about Vrabel. And that's the double standard that's unfair. But if you talk about the job side of it, it's unfortunate, but her job is directly impacted by her credibility is damaged moving forward because of this story. Your thoughts
Yeah.
on that?
I don't really I agree. It sucks because I still think in a way she was probably, the most reliable source, whether you like the reason she was or wasn't. But The Athletic has defended her, and I think that that's a little strange. I just don't see how you move forward.
Last thing on this, Stucky, I find it bizarre. I don't know if you've laid off Twitter lately because the NCAA tournament is over and it's a good break from technology for you, which would be smart. But the amount of videos that have surfaced of her talking about her relationship over the last several years, I think it is a damning example of where we are societally that this many videos have popped up, that people are spending their time online looking up old videos of Diana Rossini talking about her relationship on random podcasts. Have you
Hey,
seen any of
Golak and
this?
Bertrand is not a random podcast.
My God, like what? But like to be able to go, I don't know if you can do this through AI. That is where I am technologically ignorant. Like if you could just go type into Chat GPT, show me a clip of Diana Rossini talking about her relationship. The fact that people are spending their time digging this stuff up, that is loser behavior. Have you seen any of this, Stucky?
A little. I mean, that's just Twitter. People are gonna always search for the gotcha to go viral. My thing, I've seen like there's people get tricked by pictures, and my thing when any of this stuff happens, it's like I saw people going crazy yesterday on the Masters. Someone tweeted out a picture of Jason Kelsey, Bert
Pat
Kreischer,
McAfee, yeah.
and Pat McAfee jumping into the pond together, and then people were like going off on this AI image. I just can't. What is this stuff going to look like in 5 years? I still get tricked every once in a while, and I'm like very cautious. And then now even like real things, I'm like, this is real, right?
Oh,
It's
these
just weird.
pictures of the moon? I don't know what to believe.
It's
I
just a
feel like
weird.
I feel like one of those conspiracy theorists that doesn't believe we landed on the moon. They're seeing all
Oh,
these pictures of the
I went
backside.
down a rabbit hole yesterday for like a half hour on uh TikTok of these of flat earthers, of people like just vehemently arguing why the earth is flat. I was like, is this a thing? Apologies to any flat earther
You don't
watchers or
need to
listeners.
apologize to them.
Um, but yeah,
You guys think Kyrie
that's
Irving listens to our podcast?
no,
I hope so.
absolutely not.
Kyrie, if you're listening, we'd love to have you before the NFL season starts.
All right, let's do you need my question?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so we're
What
going to
is
talk
it?
about the draft, our favorite prospects for the draft. Who is the person that you've been, it could be any sport that you've been most wrong about? Like you were like, it
Ooh.
could be you thought they were going to be great, or you thought that they were going to be a bust and they were great. Um, I have so many over the years, but there is a wide receiver. No one will really remember this, but there was a wide receiver for Arkansas State, Jonathan Adams. This was I don't know, I want to say like 4 years ago. Yeah, I mean he played Arkansas State probably like 2018, 2019, 2020. He also played for the basketball team. They upset Arkansas State upset Kansas State when they were ranked, and he had 3 touchdowns. I think he was the Biletnikoff finalist. I thought he was going to be something in the NFL, and then he ran a 4.6 40, and then recently, I mean, 2 years ago, he was taken in like the 15th round of the UFL draft. Um, he was allocated to the Louisville Kings in the UFL, but he's on injured reserve now. I thought he was going to be something in the NFL, but I have countless examples of that. I also thought that the Chiefs reached for Mahomes. I said that live.
Oh no.
So
That takes
I'm
the
not,
cake of anything any of us could say.
I'm not afraid. Like I thought that they when they traded up, I disagreed with it. So I mean, I have so many of those, it's insane, but that's what
I
happens over
have
the years.
I have two. One is mainstream and one is niche. Mainstream, Justin Fields. Niche, Luke Jokel.
Like
Luke
what did you
Jokel.
dude,
Yeah.
Luke Jokel? How did you have a hot take on him?
I was like, this kid's gonna rule. He just sucked.
Oh, he got drafted by the Jags, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Second pick.
I have so many names running through my head right now. One that comes to mind immediately for me is in the baseball world. Do you guys remember the brief moment when Yasiel Puig with the Dodgers just took over the sport?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was going to be it. I thought he was going to be the biggest star in the history of the game. Just take over, and I think it ended by the time I was done completing that take. His career had flatlined right after that. I've definitely gotten a few quarterbacks wrong. I was a big Blaine Gabbert guy. Speaking of your Jacksonville Jaguars, I liked him at college, and then I watched too much preseason and bought the hype on Blaine Gabbert. And there's another one that is coming to mind that I'm blanking on right now. But
QBs are
yeah,
so hard.
Cal's.
I'm convinced no one really knows, even the most in tune NFL minds. You just
I mean,
never
Kyle
know.
Pitts most recently, I bought the you're just going to draft a Hall of Fame tight end, and who knows? I mean, at this point, he's kind of turning things around. It still could become that, but we've had a lot of flat years from him. If you remember the name, Yatil Green out of Miami was drafted by the Dolphins, but one of the other ones, and I think he wound up tearing his ACL before he even played, so he busted because of injury. Peter Warrick is my number one example. That was the one that I was trying to dig out of my brain. Peter Warrick, Florida State, late 90s. I thought he was going to come into the league and be the best wide receiver. I thought he was going to be, if you think about what Jamar Chase is in real life now, I thought that was going to be Peter Warrick. But that was
Keon
when the
Coleman was
Bengals.
bad for me too.
Oh, Keon Coleman. I think I called the Keon Coleman bust. Kelvin Benjamin, though, another Florida State wide receiver. I
No,
thought he was going to be
I
good.
loved him. All right.
And
Thank you.
my last one is my namesake on Twitter, Rodney Stuckey, who went like top 15 in the draft. That's who I named my Twitter account after randomly in like 2007 when uh
That's a great poll. I didn't know this about you.
he was
Did
at
not
Eastern
also.
Washington. And well, like it was originally on a forum name, and then I think I started Twitter like 2010, 2011. But that's how my name started. He won me a bunch of money at Eastern Washington, and I loved him there. I mean, he played for a while in the NBA, but he was never a star.
Producer in the chat, David Payne, says Josh Rosen. He thought Josh Rosen was going to be the best quarterback in the draft class. I thought that as well. That did not work out. Still to come, a flag plant on our favorite NFL draft prospects. But first, a word about DraftKings.
The Favorites podcast has teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, where new customers can bet $5 and get $300 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on star player props and in-progress games right as they happen. With the NBA playoffs just around the corner, you know we'll be keeping our eye out for the best odds on DraftKings. To get started, use promo code favorites when signing up with DraftKings. Again, use promo code favorites when signing up and bet $5 to get $300 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. The crown is yours.
All right, let's get to it. Let's talk about some of our favorite draft prospects in this year's draft class. We're each going to go top 5, presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. We're talking players that you are, speaking of Stucky's question, overly confident and positive that they are going to be impact players in the NFL. We'll just each go 1 through 5, and then we'll save a little space for commentary on each of those 5 names. Kendra, who are your 5?
You guys went a little bit off the beaten path and compared to me, and I'm not surprised, but I'm impressed. My one of one's going to be Jeremiah Love. I think that he's just a plug and play player at a relatively plug and play position, super explosive, gets faster after contact, and he can catch a pass and is decent at pass pro. So I don't really see a ton of downsides to his game. There's really no negative critique for someone who's expected to surpass, kind of what Saquon was expected to do in the draft and Bijan Robinson. So I went a little safe with my one of one, but I think that I kind of approached it from the perspective of no matter where these guys get drafted, I think they'll be okay. That was kind of the way that I approached this list. So I don't think that there's anybody that could draft him where he could not shine.
Yeah. So I did end up deleting a couple of names because you put yours in the doc first. So that's one of the reasons why we've gone off the beaten path. But yeah, this Jeremiah Love, a phenomenal
Early
choice.
bird gets the worm, baby.
There you go. I think I did double up on a couple of these just because I didn't want to erase everybody. But go ahead and roll through the rest of your list.
I added Sonny Styles. Obviously, he's position flexible, and I think that that is kind of the biggest part of his game. He does not miss tackles at all. And the only kind of negative critique that I had on him is that he needs to join me for a yoga class at some point because his hips are not the most flexible that I've ever seen. But if that's the biggest downside that he has, I think that he's probably going to be pretty decent no matter where he gets drafted. Number 3 for me was Mekhi Lemon. Great route runner, fast, can get good separation. And his ball tracking and grip strength is probably the best out of a receiver in this class, in my opinion, after kind of going back and filtering through some of his tape. Another wide receiver that I added was Carnell Tate. I think he's a safe choice for anybody that's going to draft him. Always a safe choice to draft any kind of wide receiver from Ohio State. They obviously, look at Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, JSN, Marvin Harrison, and I think he's the most polished kind of NFL-ready receiver in this draft. And then last but not least, you guys know that I had to throw a tight end on here because left tackles and tight ends are my favorite part about the draft, but his combine kind of put him over the edge for me. Kenyon Sadiq, great after the catch. My only concern is that he gets thrown into a situation where he's going to be expected to carry a huge load and pause. I don't think that that would be the best thing for his early career, but if he really is kind of the comp that he's getting, I think he's going to be good no matter where he goes. I just worry that he's going to get thrown into a situation where he gets, a ton of need early. But if he really is Evan Engram, I think that that's great no matter where you throw him.
I think he is one of those guys that can be his production is going to be very dependent on where he ends up, not so much with the quarterback, but with the coaching scheme that he lands in. But he's an explosive player, 99th percentile performer at the NFL Combine. And
his combine was
insane. And we can overrate the combine, and that can be problematic. But when you marry that with already being a top prospect at the position and then blowing up the combine, it's hard not to fall in love with him as a prospect. Very intrigued to see where he goes. Kansas City at 9 would be fascinating because that would be them.
I would throw up my remote. I'm not one of these people that gets pissed off really easily when watching like sports or the draft or anything, but I would probably throw my bedazzled remote through my TV.
That'd be them drafting Travis Kelce's direct replacement. I love Carnell Tate as well. Stuckey, before we get your list, your thought on there's 2 names, Mansour Delane out of LSU and Carnell Tate. If you know nothing about these players and you just simply went into the draft and said, I'm just going to take the top Ohio State wide receiver and the top DB out of LSU, do you think we end up overrating these players because of where they come from? Or is that just simplistic and accurate analysis to say that these players at these positions have thrived from these programs?
No, I mean, Ohio State, it's a thing. I mean, like their route running, it's just, they're almost can't miss. LSU, I mean, corners are a little tougher. I had some questions about the lane more so than others might. I don't think he's a slam dunk. But I mean, he's obviously one of the top corner prospects in this draft, but that's a little trickier. But I think the Ohio State wide receiver development. And I mean, their route running right from the jump is elite. So that is, I think, something that you can anchor on and be confident in.
What about you? Give us your five.
Well, I went with like I could have went the top, the top. I don't follow the draft too closely, but I follow college football as close as anyone, watch as much college football as anybody. So I don't know where, I know these guys aren't projected to go like top 20, and probably not first round. Like I haven't looked at any mocks or anything like that yet. But these are guys that I really liked that are probably day two, day three guys. If I assume you can tell me if I'm wrong. Um, that I think, they're not going to be like a slam dunk, number one, number two pick in the draft, but I think we'll find homes and be steady starters. So, the first one is Traden Stukes. He's a very versatile chess piece D back out of Arizona. He could play safety, he can play nickel, he could play corner, he could play outside, he could play all over the place. He ran a 4.33 40 also. 6'1", 190, 38-inch vert. Like he has, and he's done it all at Arizona. He can close, he can run with receivers. Um, he's physical enough in the run game. And those are the guys that if you can find them with in today's NFL, those versatile defenders in the secondary that allow you to do so much. We saw that with Eamon Warren in Seattle. That's the trend, and I think Stukes can be one of those guys that's not necessarily being talked about as a first rounder. Um, so I think he could be a steal in day two or day three, wherever he's projected to go. The more Your more uh, kind of standard normal corner is Chris Johnson. Not a lot of people have probably seen him out of San Diego State. I don't think he necessarily has the upside of a Quinyon Mitchell, who I loved coming out of Toledo. Now, Toledo has another D back who's going to get drafted in Emmanuel McNeil Warren. Uh, Not necessarily the same type of player, but they develop their defensive backs really well. But I think Chris Johnson, if he can go to a place where he can press some. I mean, everyone's going to use man and zone, but I think that he has great instincts, great cover skills, and he was just elite all year for that San Diego State defense. So that's one of the outside corners that I think will find a role. Like he could be an excellent number two corner in 2 years for a team that utilizes a higher rate of man than your standard team. One of the most There's a lot of the offensive tackles that are going to get drafted. I don't know. I'm not as high. Like I think that there's a lot of bust potential in many of them. Like I'm not a Proctor guy. I don't know where's Caden Proctor projected to go.
Maybe top 5. I want to say like 15 through 17, maybe somewhere in that range.
I think he's going to be a bust. But I mean, obviously he has all the skills, but in the traits. But one guy who I think could end up being the best tackle in this class and one of the best stories, I'll definitely be rooting for him, is Maxi Henachor out of Arizona State. This kid, Nigerian kid who came to the U.S., never played high school football, went to East LA Community College, and then went to Arizona State, got thrown into the fire. Arizona State had like 10 offensive linemen get hurt a couple years ago, and he got thrown into the fire and has only improved. I mean, this guy, he has all of the traits. He's still a little raw, but I mean, he's just getting started in his football career. He's got like a 83.5-inch wingspan. I think he could be a very, very good starting tackle in the league for a long time. And then I'll go, let's see, I'll stick on the defensive side of the ball. Zion Young, kid out of Missouri, he's super underrated. I mean, he's dominant against the run. I think he can turn into a really good player. He's pretty versatile up front. Another guy, honorable mention for a similar type, I would imagine they go around the same. They're kind of like projected maybe day two, day three. Gabe Akis out of Illinois. He's just a football player. He's going to find a role. This two-time state champion wrestler. He just knows how to He just knows how to play defense. Tough kid. He'll find a role somewhere. And then two other bigger guys. Caleb Banks. He has some injury questions out of Florida, but that he can be like he has
I like that
upside
call.
for
I like that
days
call.
as long as he can stay
He dealt with a
healthy.
lot of injuries last year. That was the
Yeah,
problem.
his foot, he
But
has
he's
foot
dominant.
questions, but he's explosive. You can play him in a couple different spots along the defensive line. And then there's a honorable mention to a guy who has one of my favorite nicknames is Dom Orange, the big citrus out of Iowa State. He's not really gonna wow anyone from a pass rushing perspective, but like if you're looking for these guys are becoming more and more important, these guys who can just clog up the middle. He'll probably find a role on the right defense as far as just like a guy's going to take up bodies, help against the run in the middle. But yeah, those are my five kind of off the radar guys that I'm confident will find a role and be steady pros for years to come in Stukes, Johnson, Iheanacho, and Zion Young and Caleb Banks.
My first name is exactly that, is Jacob Rodriguez out of Texas Tech. If you watch draft coverage this year, exactly that phrase will be used when talking about Jacob Rodriguez. He's a football player. That this guy, they used him all over the place at Texas Tech. He was in the Heisman discussion because they even threw him at Wildcat at times. Leader, captain, day one, tough as nails. He's not a traitsy guy, but he's going to be a starter for years. So he is tier one on my list of guys that I have no question about his ability to be successful in the NFL. Caleb Downs is, if we're looking for the Nick Eman of this year's draft, it's quite obvious who that is. Didn't allow a touchdown for 2 years. I think you can make a really good argument for him being the best overall player in this year's draft class. There's a really good chance that he's going to be great. I think there's a 0% chance that he's going to be bad. That is a slam dunk pick. And because he's a safety, I think he ends up going on the back end of top 10. And to me, he's a top 5 guy. Malachi Fields, if I go down the board a little bit, wide receiver out of Notre Dame, he's like discount Michael Pittman. This guy is a deep threat. He's a red zone threat, 6'4" on a bad day. He was dominant at Virginia Tech and then got the bag to go to Notre Dame. Not a big route tree, but if you're just looking for someone that you can plug into the offense and say, go get the ball in the red zone, I think he's one of those guys. Could be fantasy relevant within a year or two of his NFL career. I'll throw Mansour Delane in there.
Virginia, by the way, before the Virginia people get mad at you.
Virginia, thank you. Yeah, I added the text to it. Yeah, like I can already feel the hate comments coming in on the YouTube channel. Delane is the top corner in the draft, and I think there's a pretty big drop off from him and the kid from Tennessee who's still making his way back from an ACL injury. He got a lot of money. This is the one. He went from Virginia Tech to LSU, but best DB in the draft coming out of LSU. That's pretty much a layup most years. And then my last name is Mike Washington out of Arkansas, the running back. This is a wild comp, but when I watch this guy play, I see shades of Terrell Davis. He's got kind of that upright run style, really powerful, doesn't even really break tackles. The defenders just sort of fall off of him, and he's got 4.33 speed. So he's a guy that he's not going to be a 3-down player. I saw one comp that said he's kind of like Chris Carson. I think that would be on the low end of what he's able to produce, but he's going to have to pair with somebody who's a better pass catcher. That guy is going to be a stud when given an opportunity in the NFL. Those are my 5 names.
I would say, yeah, I mean, by the way, that your mention of a football player, that I'm so curious to see where, like D'Angelo Pons fits that to a T, but like I don't know where exactly he fits in an NFL. Like, can he? Like, I think he's best on the outside, but can he play? If he could play in the nickel, it might be best for him. But I don't know. Like, that's a guy. If he can find his role, he's just a football player. But you mentioned Delane. I think that the best, because I think that the best corners in the draft come like just raw skill is Jermon McCoy, but he has major injury like he's
Yeah.
major injury questions coming back
He
from
hasn't
an
played
injury.
in like 400 days, something like that.
Um,
I'd be worried about taking a guy like that in round one, but he probably will just because he's got all those elite cornerback traits.
Devin Moore, too, out of Florida, same deal. He's dealt with some injuries, but he's got elite cornerback traits. The thing I would worry about with Fields, like he doesn't have elite. Can he get separation consistently? It's not a super. What did he run? He's like a 4.6 guy.
He's a four
Um,
six one. Yep.
so can he get enough separation? I mean, he has good ball skills uh, but can he get enough separation? And then Rodriguez yeah, he's just a football player, but can he hold up athletically in coverage? I mean, this is a former walk-on I mean, his stock is gone. I mean, you watch him play. I mean, this guy just plays with, I mean, just violence,
He
forced
looks like
fumbles.
Zach Thomas when I watch him. He's just everywhere. You cannot watch a Texas Tech game and not come away impressed with what he does.
Yeah, he had missed some. He has his missed tackle rates was a bit high, but can he just hold up in coverage? Would be my question there. But I like your list for sure.
You know who I'm surprised that none of us brought up? And I guess I'm not surprised, but Ruben Bain.
Yeah, I mean he's to me. I didn't go with. I went with like guys who I didn't think would be in the first round.
Yeah.
Um, and
Stucky
Bain
had the
is
hipster list.
yeah, Bain is
Yes.
definitely going in the first round. I mean the what is the kind of dig on him or the worry is his arms, right? His
Arm
arm
length.
length.
Yeah. He's going to be a Dallas Cowboy. It is what it is.
Yeah, so like he has what is his arm length is 30 and
I was going to say sub 31,
sub
but I don't know
31 and
the.
no player with a sub 31 has recorded uh double digit sacks this century.
Yeah.
Um so
That's so
it
good.
doesn't mean he can't translate, but that would be the I don't think that there's been edge rusher with that short of arms who's been taken in the first round in this century. Um but
I think the
you
like
watch him.
positive about him is that he's a hard worker, so that's why people are kind of high on him, but you can't make your arms any longer.
Yeah, I would take um I mean I'd take Bailey and Reese over him for sure. I'm super interested in I mean I already mentioned Akis and Young. I also really like Keldrick Falk out of Auburn. Um
Yeah.
and
He's a day two prospect, yeah? Like right on that cusp of like late day one, early day two.
I don't know to be honest, but that sounds about right. I but those are some names that because like that I'm watching for the Ravens, like these there's a this I think that this edge rush class is deep and
Yeah, it is.
according to the Ravens, uh their original plan was to have Crosby and Hendrickson, which is what I told you guys a month ago. Like that is the only thing I care about this offseason is just edge. Go get is you have to fix the edge rush no matter what. Well, that certainly would have done it having Hendrickson and Crosby. Crosby obviously fell through. They get Hendrickson. Okay, that helps, but still not enough. So, uh, some of these guys that I'm looking at, hoping that the Ravens grab to help address their clear, I think, biggest weakness on the team last year.
Before we wrap this completely, we didn't mention a single quarterback. And I think that's part of the reason why
Nor should
a,
we.
a lot of people are sleeping on this year's draft. We're not debating the best drafts from a content perspective are the ones where you're debating the top pick. There's no debate there. It's obviously Fernando Mendoza, and it should be, and that's the end of the discussion. Then the next best for content is debating, well, who are the best quarterbacks or who's the next crop? And we don't believe in any of these guys. Is there someone, not necessarily in the first round, but is there anyone else that you'd be willing to tepidly hitch your wagon to and say, if given the opportunity in the right offense, I believe in quarterback X? Kendra is nodding her head.
You guys know who it is for me. I think I may have logged it in the app, but I've definitely logged it in DraftKings. I have Garrett Nussmeier going in the first round. I think that he is the number two quarterback in this draft. I know obviously the majority consensus is Ty Simpson, but I think that Garrett Nussmeier has a far higher ceiling. So if we're sitting here with the prompt that we have, that who is most likely to be not a bust out of this draft class, and you're going to give me one of the quarterbacks to pick, I honestly think it's Nussmeier for me, which is probably crazy to a lot of people, and he didn't have a great season. But prior to this year, I think that his tape looks pretty okay.
He was a guy that was supposed to be the number one quarterback in this year's draft class, and then put together a pretty mediocre season. The total quarterbacks drafted in round one over on DraftKings, the over under is 1.5, and the over is heavily juiced at -205. Under is +155. Stucky, which would you bet if you had to bet on one of those sides? Over
What
or
was it
under?
again?
Over under 1.5 quarterbacks. We know that there's one. Basically, will there be two quarterbacks taken in the first round? Over is -205.
This isn't my specialty, so I can't. But I think I would go over. I don't know what it should be priced at, but I think that there's probably going to be. I think Simpson will probably find his way into the first round, but I don't take my
Are you
advice
do
on
you draft price aside, do you believe that Ty Simpson in the right offense can be a decent NFL quarterback?
I'm not a Simpson guy, but I'm also on record as saying like no one knows anything about projecting these quarterbacks. If I
Brock
this is
Purdy being the best example recently.
Yeah, I mean, if I were a team in, I don't know where he's projected to go, but a like a guy with so much upside and potential as Taylon Green
Mhm.
out of Arkansas, just an unbelievable athlete, and he has a good arm. He's just got to work on some of the mechanic stuff. And but that's a guy with upside that you take a shot on, and it's not going to cost. It's not like an Anthony Richardson where it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. Uh, to He's not, he's not going fourth overall, but he has a ton of upside. So like he could be an interesting project, but not the. It's not the problem with Nussmeier is he can't move. So like he doesn't fit the mold of like the quarterbacks that you want in today's day and age. Like who is the best like you got to hope he's like Goff.
That's the one. Goff, Stafford, as far as quarterbacks
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
are elite but not mobile.
Well,
And
what
those
I was
guys have been around have been around for a while, but like everyone else, like who's like Lawrence can move, Caleb can move, Drake May can move, Bo
The guy
Nix
who
can
won the
move.
Super Bowl, where do we put Sam Darnold in that discussion?
What I was going to say is that when you're kind of projecting things like this quarterback situation is you have to remember that a lot of this is based off positional value, right? And quarterback has the highest positional value. So if someone's going to take a shot late in the first round, it's probably going to be at a quarterback over, a wide receiver or a tight end or something that is heavy in this draft, just because there's such a need for not just a starting quarterback, but a backup quarterback. And a lot of the times, a good or a great backup quarterback is worth a first or a second round pick. So I think that a lot of people don't take into consideration the mindset of some of these GM moves in how much they value certain positions and taking a shot at certain positions over others.
Well, yeah, that's probably what's going to dictate this draft. Like
Look at Jackson Dart last year. He was not expected to go in the first round, but because of the need at quarterback, he did.
someone you want a quarterback, and you find that's going to solve a lot of your issues. Like if the if Dart ends up being the guy for the Giants, it solves
Mm-hmm.
a lot of their issues for a while. But that's probably going to
Michael
drive
Penix.
the first round activity. Like you're probably going to see a ton of these tackles go, and
Yep.
then these edge rushers. There's going to be a run on both
Linebackers,
because
edge rushers.
yeah,
Yep.
the edge rushers and tackle, the premium, uh, just the positional value of both. That you'll probably see a run on both at some point.
I
The
agree.
the projection, I think a safe projection could be Arizona trades back into the first round to get Ty Simpson so that they have that fifth year option on the quarterback. To Kendra's point, that's part of the positional value of getting the quarterback in round one. Also, not only because of how important quarterback is, but because you get that extra year, and
Yeah.
that contractually is more important. Look at what the Texans are doing now with CJ Stroud. They
Yep.
said, here's the 5th-year option, but we're not sure about you, bro. So perhaps that happens with Ty Simpson. Good conversation today. Got the football juices flowing. That'll do it for today's episode. Special thanks to the producers, Gifford Gould and David Payne, Stats Hound Evan Abrams. More great content coming up next week. The favorites will return on Tuesday. Enjoy your Masters naps, everybody, and try and stay off of Diana Rossini Twitter. We'll see you next time here on The Favorites, presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours.